So here I have the design sketch of my second dress in my collection, my space-themed collection. Here, this would be like my dream fabric to have on this dress. I'll probably find something that's more in my price range, but it's velvet with these beautiful glitters embedded in the fabric, and that gives it like a Starry Night type feel. So here at the neckline, you can see it has a cowl, and that's going to be made out of chiffon, and that is going to go over the shoulders and then erupt into this beautiful back cape that is attached at the end of the sleeve and the back only, so it'd be floating loosely from the sleeve. And I'm going to have like a beaded ring that attaches to the finger and attaches to the sleeve. And the edges of this cape is going to be sewn into this back princess seam of this dress. So this is going to be on I hope, a size 14 model in the end. Currently, I am making it for a 18-inch doll. Yeah, so there she is. I really like this design. It's very simple. It's elegant. I believe the pattern pieces, if I figure out the cowl section, which is going to be a little difficult, but there should only be a center front panel, the side front panel, the center back panel, and the side back panel, and the sleeves. Now, this dress shouldn't need a zipper because it's going to be, again, stretch. And I'll be constructing the seams with the serger to retain that stretch when it is constructed as a final garment. Okay, here she is. So this is the book that these bodice are from. I picked it up at Joanne's, so they might still sell it, but the copyright is 2013. So the book's 10 years old. So it might not be available anymore. But if you can, I suggest checking it out. I am planning on showing how to draft patterns in an upcoming video. So if you're interested, just tell me, and I'll see what I can do. I do know how to draft as well. So now we have our set pieces. So for this, we need a couple of measurements. We need, on the doll, we need the measurement of this shoulder to the floor, because that's what it is. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. Okay, so we need the measurement from the shoulder to the floor, which is this measurement from here to here on the doll. So I'm going to go figure out what that is. We need it on the back, and we need the length of the sleeve cap all the way to the wrist. So I'll be back in a couple of seconds and get those measurements. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace all of these bodice pieces so that I have a vector version of them. If you're ever confused about what's the front, what's the back, how I tell is generally because the front bodice goes a little lower. This is a general on the back. So I am going to take and make a line that is 11.5 inches from here. Well, we're going to use the rectangle tool because you can just type it in. So we're going to do width. We're going to do 0.001. And we're going to do the height 11.5. So we're going to take this bad boy right here, and we're going to make him even. Actually, we're going to replace him with a new rectangle. Yeah. Okay. And scoot that down. And that looks about centered to me. And we're just going to take this right here, and we're going to move it down and make it center. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take these two, this line, and I'm going to make a group out of these two. Group, so that when I pick one, it'll move them both at the same time. Group. Okay, and now I'm just going to take this back bodice, just take it over here, I'm going to rotate it, and like this. Ooh. And like this, and we're just gonna see if those lines line up with each other. We're just gonna marry them together. Unfortunately, it's not rotating around the axis that would be most useful to rotate around. It's not rotating around this, it's rotating around the center of that whole piece. So we're just compensating. This process is called truing your patterns. As you can see, pattern pieces are not actually true. So I'm going to take, what? The lines line up pretty well. So I'm going to take this selection tool, the white selection tool, and bring this corner. Oh, look like it. Bring this corner. This corner. It'll cooperate, and I'm going to line it up right smack down like that. I'm going to leave this one alone here because it's not doing it any harm. It's almost perfect. So I'm going to go back to the. Take this. I'm going to turn it right back to 90 degrees. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the front bodice piece. This paper. And I'm going to take. I'm going to use the lasso tool, and I'm going to lasso that point, just lassoing them around, and I'm going to use this align tool, and it's going to pop that bad boy down. Let's go to the bottom of the box. So now this is all 12.5 inches. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just loop all these, and we're going to align them as well. Okay. Now you may be seeing that these lines are going to make kind of like a tube, a very tight tube. And our dolls, I mean, they don't have that much shape, but they do have a little bit. So I am going to take a pen tool, which is P, shortcut P. I'm just going to mark the waistline and shift, make sure it's straight. I'm going to go back to V, and I'm going to go over here, mark this waistline, shift, sure it's flat, escape. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these two, the opacity back up to 100%. And I'm going to, which goes into this group, it's isolation. And I'm going to make a point right here, right there. So now, when I go down here, move this in, and move out to add a flare. Skirt. So it's not super tight. But we don't want to add too much flare. So this is probably too much flare that I just added. Because in the design sketch, it's pretty flat to the body. So I'm just gonna make it, I'm gonna hold it, I'm gonna press shift so it doesn't go up and down. And I'm just gonna make it like that, a little bit. And it automatically made it so it had a curve. And I'm just gonna keep that, I like that curve. So I'm gonna go over here, I'll add it back over here. there, right here, and we're just going to do the same thing as what we did on the other piece. I'm going to take this handle right here. I'm going to press Shift. I'm going to move it over. Excuse me. Okay. So now we have our basic sheath. Now, these dolls, you don't have to count in bust because they really don't have a bust. They don't have much shape, so they're basically a tube. But to create that illusion of shape, we're going to take this line right here, and we're going to add more anchor points using the pen tool. I'm going to put one right about there. And we're going to go over here and do the same thing right about. Now I'm going to take this point that I just made and make it the bust point. It would basically be the bust point. And I'm going to put it right about there. Now on a real person, all of these measurements, the bust point is measured out to a T. But since this doll doesn't have a bust, don't worry about that. Take just this point and move it straight down. And actually, we're going to extend it a little bit past, and you'll see why in a little bit. And take this and extend it a little past as well. So now we have, and we're going to make sure there's no fill on this because we do not want to fill on these lines, these style lines. Okay, so now we have this line, which mimics this line right here. Okay. We're going to repeat this for the back bodice. Okay. And we're going to take these two pieces and we're going to get this line out of the way because we don't want any confusion in the computer. I'm going to select this whole thing. I'm going to use this tool down right here. It's on Pathfinder. It's called Divide. And now, if I take this and I ungroup it, we have two pattern pieces. Now I'm just going to move these guys out. Okay. And I'm going to do the same to the front bodice. Okay. So now we have our bodice pattern pieces, or sheath pattern pieces. Now, one thing that you would factor in for, and I will factor in for the full scale model, is negative ease. Because this is a tight fitting dress, and I'm going to use a stretch fabric. So that way it contours to the body closer. Now I'm going to take this sleeve, and I am going to make a rectangle because the sleeve cap length from the doll was 5 inches. So I'm going to make a line that is 5 inches long. I'm going to take it, I'm going to align it with the top of this. I'm going to line it at the center, and we're going to line it at the top. I'm going to use my handy dandy lasso tool again. I'm going to go weep and whoop down. I'm going to put a line bottom. And that is my sleeve. That's all I'm going to do. Now we have our pattern pieces. It's going to be a very simple one because we're not worrying about this shawl piece right now. Because that's going to be draped rather than flat patterned. But what we are going to do is, you may have noticed we have a problem that our pieces are longer than the piece of paper. So I'm going to select these, and I'm going to move them down So I'm actually going to add the seam allowance in person after I print it out. So I'm leaving extra space for that said seam allowance. So I'm just gonna make sure there's enough space because I'm going to use 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Okay, now I'm going to put a reference line through here. Put at the waistline, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to make 2 more artboards. Edit artboards. And then we're going to do plus and plus. And we are just going to copy and paste these patterns up here so that when I print it off my computer, I'm going to use this top half and this bottom half, and I'm just going to tape them together. So now I have all 5 flat pattern pieces, and I'm going to save this. But for me to print it, I need to save this all as a PDF. So we're going to go to File, Save As. Here. Come on. Adobe PDF. Save. I printed it out, and now I just have to add the seam allowances. So to do that, I'm just taking my grid ruler right here, and I'm going along the edges at 1/4 inch right here. So if you're unfamiliar with how to read the ruler, you have 1/4 inch. Sorry, let's get that in frame. You have a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch. This is a 2-inch ruler, 2 inches wide, and it's 18 inches long. So all you do to make a 1/4 inch seam allowance, which is what I'm using for the small scale doll dress, is you line the ruler up with your line here. So you put the 1/4 inch mark along this line and then trace it. Now, we don't need seam allowance on this piece because this is going to be cut on the fold. This is the symbol for cutting on the fold. And we don't need seam allowance on the center back because, again, it's going to be cut on the fold. So we just need seam allowance on the necklines, the shoulder seams, the side seams, and we want to add, down here, we want to add about 1 inch of hem to the bottom of the dress. Now, I don't have enough paper here because I didn't move up the pattern pieces in my design, Illustrator design, so I'm just going to tape paper to the bottom of this pattern to give myself 1 inch of hem. So I am now going to make a mock-up out of muslin fabric, which is a very plain, inexpensive fabric, to see if my design lines, style lines, so right here the seam is a style line. So I'm going to use a mock-up to see if my style lines are where they're supposed to be on my doll. And I'm going to see how much ease I have to take out so it fits the doll properly. So here on the sleeve, I'm going to have to take out a lot of excess ease because this is a block sleeve and I want it to be a fitted sleeve. In this drawing you see it's a fitted sleeve. So I want it to be a fitted sleeve, but I'm going to have too much ease, so I have to put negative ease into the pattern. So here are all the pieces. We have with the center front, side front, the sleeve, side back, and the center back. I'm going to work out the cowl and the cape and the mock-up process. So here it is. Thanks for watching, everybody, and this is the last part to this video, and I'm looking forward to working the mock-up. Yay! I love sewing. I like patterning, but my heart has always been to sewing. So, thanks guys. Bye.